accurate that it's unnerving. A woman that passes away, the husband is the one that feels it. In a different way than children, than the community, than friends, than relatives. In life, we really don't appreciate things till they're gone. We don't appreciate good health unless, God forbid, we are ill. We don't appreciate wealth or comfort unless somehow it disappears. Chazal tell us that one of the reasons why the Jewish people went into exile is so that they would learn to appreciate the land of Israel. You see in front of us that since we have it, we don't appreciate it. Whereas for 1900 years in the exile, it was the focal point of our prayers and attention and dreams. So when something disappears, there's a different appreciation. And I can certainly say that about Mira, because in her absence, I truly appreciate her. Yaakov Avinu said to Yosef, Anochi, as far as I'm concerned, Bevoi mipadon, when I came back from the house of Lavan, Meisa olai Rochel baderech. My beloved wife, your mother, Rochel. So the Torah says, olai. She died on me. Why am I say olai? Should have said Meisa Rochel. It's enough. She died for Yosef also, and for Binyamin, and for everyone else. But Chazal, in viewing every word of the Torah and all of its great nuances, realized that what Yaakov said, she died on me. I'm the one. I'll never be the same. And it was Baderech. It was on the way. We thought we were going somewhere. We thought finally, Bonu el ha-menucha vel ha-nachala. And that was the way she felt. She came back to Eretz Yisrael. He had no idea of the joy that she had of living here. She was here in terrible times. 46, 47, 48, riots, hunger, living in an orphanage. She always used to she was a great storyteller. She outdid me, which I never forgave her for. She would ask me, she was invited to speak at so many occasions here in Shul and in the community in Yerushalayim, and she would say, what shall I say? I said, just tell them a story, Mira. And she did, and that always carried the day. So she told over and over again the story that she's walking down the street in Bnei Barak. I think she was 11 years old then. And she saw from afar the Vizhnitzer Rebbe. And she had recognized him because after the war they had been in Bucharest together before they got there to Israel. And she was a relative of his. A great niece. I never got it quite. There were too many Rebbes involved to know exactly how it works. And so she's an 11-year-old girl, and she starts to run over to the Rebbe. Runs across the street to the Rebbe. So they're sitting, Meidl. They're pushing her away. And the Rebbe said, no, stop. He said, Mira. He recognized her. So the first thing he asked her was, do you have hot water for a shower? And she said, no, we don't have hot water. She said, you come by me. I have hot water. Whenever you want a shower, come by me. That was a Rebbe. That meant caring for someone. He didn't ask her, what hechsher are you eating there by the Mizrahi? He didn't ask her, what are they teaching you? He asked her, do you have hot water? And that was part of her. Whenever she saw somebody else, she also asked, do you have hot water? What can I do for you? How can I help you? Derech, on the way. So when she came back there to Israel, this was a hard trip for her. I don't know why she married me, but she did, a moment of weakness. So she left her children, and then her grandchildren were young. They weren't in Eretz Israel yet. Her whole family and her friends. She had friends by the ton. I remember the phone calls would start. I would say, AT&T made a fortune on her. And she left it all. Lech Chacharai. Because it was not just me, I realized it was Eretz Yisrael. She was home here. She came home. She enjoyed every minute. Everything about it. And she radiated that to others as well. How important it is to appreciate the gifts that we have and the blessings that the Lord has given our generation. Chazal say that there was another great bracha. There's Rachel Imenu. But Rabbi Akiva's wife was also Rachel. And Rabbi Akiva said upon her, when he was the great Rabbi Akiva, when he had 24,000 Talmidim, when Shmo Holech, Sof Olam at Sof Olam, the name of Rabbi Akiva was famous all over the world. So he said to his Talmidim, Sheli v'shelachem shalahu. What I am and what you are is because of her. Because of that bracha. I cannot tell you how many great things she inspired belonged to her. Her husband had been the head of the JNF in America. It was the only Orthodox executive in a fairly secular Zionistic world at that time. And wherever we went in Israel, she would say, oh, you see that? You see that? That was them. I know who gave that. I know who did this. Shalom. Because she was the one that charmed them. He was a great fundraiser, but every great fundraiser has a greater woman behind him. cannot be otherwise. And to have children, Talmidei Chachamim, it was not an easy time in America. It's never an easy time in America. And how proud she was that her grandsons and granddaughters came. They studied here in Israel. They would come to us for Shabbat. She had that sense of greatness. Really was almost, look, we made it. We somehow overcame everything. And that was an enormous, enormous boost to our community and to our family and to me. Because in many respects, I'm not such an easy person to live with. Now that I'm alone, I realize I'm not such an easy person to live with. She had a remarkable quality, and we had such a good life together for the years that she was there until she took ill. And even after she took ill, and I visited her in the facility in the United States, so most of the time she didn't recognize me. And to me it was heartbreaking. I didn't even want to go anymore. But then I went once, I think just a few months before her passing, and suddenly she said to the aide, she had an aide that spoke Hebrew, and she said, Zeb Ali. And that vindicated me. She had a story that she told, I think everybody here has heard it, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. It was her classic story. And it was about her Bubble Rocha, also Rocha. So when they were taken from their homes and driven by the Nazis to the labor camp, so everybody took whatever they could. And she said her Bubble Rachel ran into the Beis Medrash. The Rebbe's always had a miniature Sefer Torah. Where it says, like David HaMelech, all the kings of Judah had a miniature Sefer Torah strapped on their arm like tefillin. That it should be with him always. He should always never be without a Sefer Torah. So the Rebbe's had these miniature Sefer Torah. So she found the miniature Sefer Torah, and she tied it up with a string around her neck, and she started on the trek to Transnistria. And what happened then was that if you couldn't walk, if you fell, so then the guard beat you until you got up. And if you didn't get up, so that was it. So she's walking to the camp, the Baba Rachel, and she slipped. It was a rainy, cold day, and she fell. And she got up quickly before the guard could beat her. But when she fell, the Sefer Torah fell on the ground. So then she bent down again, stopped walking, to pick up the Sefer Torah. And this time the guard saw her and he beat her. And he said to her, and she used to quote it, Dumm Frau, you stupid woman. The only thing that matter to you people are things. And she said that Sefer Torah was with them the 3.5 years in Transnistria. Once in a while they had a chance to look at it. Once in a while they held it. When the war was over, her mother saved the Sefer Torah and it came to Eretz Israel. And then later it came to America when her mother moved to America, and then Mira followed her to America. And one of the 5 survivors, her uncle, would dance every Simchas Torah with this little Sefer Torah. That was what Jews called revenge. Revenge is dancing with the Sefer Torah. It's not killing them. Killing the Rebbeinu Shalom will take care of that. And then the Sefer Torah, from wear and age, it became decrepit. Parchment tore, letters sprang. So they didn't know what to do with the Sefer Torah. So they went to Rabbi, who was a great posek, a great Rod in Borough Park, and he told them as follows. He said, this Sefer Torah has served its purpose. It deserves rest. Let us bury it in the Jewish cemetery so that it will have rest. And I thought that basically that story was Mira. That Sefer Torah served its purpose. It did everything it could for its family, for its community, for the Jewish people, for the land of Israel. And when the Lord saw to it that it became torn and decrepit, it no longer functioned. So then it deserved its rest. And its rest is here in her home, in Har HaMenuchot in Yerushalayim. So all of us that were and are beneficiaries of her goodness and of her inspiration, of the type of person she was, I can only tell you that she was a mother to my children and my grandchildren, not mine and yours. Didn't exist. So that remains with us. And she has the ultimate menucha, and we have her memories. And that will suffice. Ki zeh kol ha'odam. Because that is the entire parcel of life that is extended to us. That we somehow deserve the rest and accomplish the mission. Hey, Zichra.